Alright, I had a wee bit of a problem with the coffee grinder this morning. I thought it would be a perfect time to take it apart and see what's going on with it. I actually kind of do know already what the problem was. This is a Cuisinart DBM-8, I think it's a Burr grinder, which means, you know, it takes the beans in and then crushes them between a set of teeth. There's a set of teeth on the inside, set of teeth on this side. This is stationary, and the one inside spins, and then, you know, centripetal force flings those beans into the blades. Now these aren't actually blades, although you probably would like to see them be blades. So you can see that they are slightly shaped, but there's no real cutting edge to them. I would suspect that this is just masticating the beans, you know, masticating them and spitting them out. The beans will come in and get pressed into here and then get ground by these metal chunks, and then get finer and finer as they get to the edge. And so depending on the gap between this and the other blade, that's how fine your coffee grounds will be. I'm not super pleased with this thing, but you know, it was cheap in comparison to like a serious Burr grinder, so you know, you get what you pay for. So the problem I had this morning was I went to start it, and it just made a little bit of a whiny noise and just completely stopped. And when I'd taken the container out and had a peek down the hole, down the gullet here, this thing was all jammed up with a really fine coffee, you know, grind. I don't grind on super fine because I'm pouring through on a cone. So that should give you an indication that this Burr grinder is not all that it's made out to be. The consistency of the grind I don't find is that good, and maybe I can demonstrate that after I've got this back together. So I just picked out most of the coffee from there, and I think I just want to take it apart and have a little clean out in the motor area, and make sure that doesn't happen again for a little while. So I do have some screws here. I can probably, well, let's start at the bottom. Manufacturers like to hide their screws underneath the legs, so if you're looking where to take something apart, that's a good place to start. You can see they're in there. So it's pretty clean inside, so I'm guessing this is fairly well sealed from whatever grinding is going on. And we'll just take this housing off. So this is actually my second DBM8, not because I love it, but because I took the first one back because I didn't think it was doing the right job. And alright, and we have one last screw just up in the top of the housing here. Not wanting to come out very easily. Come on, there we go. So my feeling was that it wasn't actually producing a very consistent grind, and a Burr grinder should, because that's the whole frickin' point of those things. And so I got a replacement one maybe 6 months after I had gotten the first one. And yeah, you know, take it home, exactly the same thing happened. So it's just a function of this grinder. What we'll take apart here is we'll try and get this housing off. And I've got that ring, same size screw. Actually, no. We've got a little bit of Loctite on the bottom there, something. that right? They actually reinforced that. There's a bit of, oh, maybe not. Oh, you know, I think it's bits of plastic. I was gonna say coffee, but don't think so. So is it biting into the very end of the plastic, and that's what's holding it in? Geez, I hope not. That would make it a one-time shot, pretty much. Ah, it's spring-loaded as well. Okay. Spring. Careful with this. Okay, so we got... Oh, there's 3 springs. Oh, crud. Yeah, and then the question is, what is this thing doing? Does appear to be a switch in there. Oh, I bet. Look at that, eh? So what happens is, if this is not engaged, I assume it will not work. I bet this slides in here and engages that switch. We will figure this out. No doubt about that. It's a piece of shit, but not that much of a piece of shit. Pins in there. I'm not entirely sure how to get that to line up. That's a bad idea. It would be nice to get, you know what, it would be nice to get a little bit more purchase on this thing here. Oh, and I just found another damn pin! Frack! Where did you come from? This is gonna kill me, man. Frickin' kill me! What the hell? Alright, that was a right pain in the ass to get back together. I would highly suggest not doing that, and in the process I managed to tear out the ground lead off of that switch. However, I did get it back together, and now I know how she works, so I'll just explain that as best as I can. These detentable buttons, I think, just provide upward pressure on this cone to keep the gap correct. That's my guess. I don't know entirely about that. There's also a little clicky switch here, and that engages with these little detents on the bottom to give you the click, 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 click as you turn it. The switch tells the computer, or whatever is controlling this, that this is engaged. So once this is engaged down, well, oh yeah, see there's a ridge here. There's a ridge along here. So once that is engaged along this groove, the switch is deactivated, and that tells it that this is on there and we're good to go. All right. This, what have we got here? It's simply a slide switch. Oh, it's actually got a lot of variation here, but when you have it on the thing, it's got the clicky click, so yeah, interesting. And a start button, so nothing complicated on that part. So what I have to do here is I'm going to put it back together half-assed and maybe resolder that lead on before I go any further. So leave it at that for now. Alright, damage repaired. Nobody's the wiser. A little bit of a patch job on that wire there. Got the control board back on. Everything seems to be working okay. So let's get into the meter for a little bit more here. This is what we came for in the first place. Try and clean out that second plate and whatever is causing this thing to gum up. Just all the organics, no doubt. Alright. Retaining ring. Oh, and there's still, oh yeah, okay. Let me just, I don't know if we can see that here. Let's, alright, so this is all actually just jammed up with a really, really fine coffee. That's the problem. That's why this thing sucks, is because it does produce this super fine material. Normally it gets stuck on the inside here, on the inside of this tray. As it gets blasted out that hole, it just gets stuck there, and then it ends up in your in your coffee grinds. So, and it is brutally fine. So from a coffee standpoint, I think this stuff clogs your filter, and then the retention time of the coffee in the filter is really high, and that ends up, making a bitter cup of coffee, which is what I've been experiencing lately. So no doubt something is wrong, and it is simply creating too much fine grind, or I don't know. Anyway, let's clean that out. If you don't have a nice smooth surface for this coffee to fly off of, what's going to happen is it's just going to continually clog up. So, damn, eh? I'll have to get in there with a rag and maybe some isopropyl alcohol or something to just clean that out a bit. Okay, that's better, but it's not clean. We would pretty much have to pull the whole thing out, and I'm actually not entirely sure how this is engaged on the motor shaft. It may simply be, it's probably just threaded on. Yeah, it's just totally jammed up with coffee. That's a real frickin' shame, That is a real shame. It's such a shitty design flaw. And most likely it comes down to these blades just being masticating. So you can't really get a completely consistent grind out of this thing. And over time, all that material just accumulates until at some point, that's it. It's so jammed up, it won't move anymore. I don't know. If they used a different material in here, would that make any difference? Some sort of different plastic? Maybe perhaps a little stainless steel insert might have been better there to keep that from jamming. Or alternatively, of course, have it user serviceable. Something that you can just take apart and clean every once in a while. But it's, what, 60 bucks? So the fuck is going to do that for 60 bucks? They don't really give a shit at that point. In fact, they're probably hoping you liked it the first time around, so you'll come around for seconds, eh? Okay, I think I'm about as sparkly as I'm going to get in there. Not great. Not great at all. But I'm going to cut my losses here and move on. Okay. So it's just now a matter of putting this back together. I was going to take the motor out, but I'm kind of pissed off about it now, so I'm just going to leave that. No point in doing that right now, I don't think. Wasted enough time on this thing. It'll go again. So if something happens to your Cuisinart DBM-8 grinder and it just stops working one day, this is where you want to end up, is in here. Poking it out from this side might get it going for a little bit, but not for long, because there's so much material jammed up on the inside. It's going to continually happen. So you really have to get in there and clean it out. So yeah, thanks Cuisinart. That was fun. I'll put this back together and we'll see if she goes. Alright, let's give it a go. So, parts missing or lost, 0. Extra parts, 0. So, I'm pretty good shape here, I think. Let's just do a little test. Here's nothing. Okay, that was actually on the finest grind you can do. Oops, didn't really want to do that. Okay, let's go to, you know, something you might normally use in a drip. And see what happens. All right. Now, first of all, okay, so when you first take it out, you'll notice there's always going to be material collecting where it shoots out of that hole. And what I find is that stuff is super fine. Now I'm going to try and, here, let's see here. Let's see if we can't get a better picture of this. I'm just going to scoop that off, put that there. And then I'm going to take stuff from the bottom and put that there. Alright, I hope the light is good enough here to see this, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. So this is normal, like it's quite nice. It's a nice, everything is got a nice even grain size. It's quite good. But that shit that fires out of that hole and smacks against the side is deadly fine. Like, it's super fine. So if you are, I'm almost certain that this clogs up your filter. You know, it ends up at the bottom and it clogs up your filter and slows down the rate of transfer, you know, through the filter. That's why this thing's a piece of shit, actually. But I guess the thing is, if you want to try and avoid that, try and scrape that off the side before you dump it into your filter. It's a huge difference. I think they know they have a problem, but I don't think they give a shit. If you don't like this, do not buy this machine. That's for sure. So anyway, I hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again later.